Okay, so in this video we're going to have a look at income tax, PRSI and universal social charge. So we're going to look at someone who's earning 72,000 euros per year, and we're going to work out what income tax they have to pay, what PRSI they're going to have to pay, and what USC they're going to have to pay. Now, this is the Irish system, so it's going to vary, it's going to differ in different countries, and this is the current Irish system. It may change depending on budgets and so on. The standard rate here and the higher rate that I have here are roughly what we're using at the moment, but again these may change from budget to budget. But the general procedure and how you actually calculate these things is going to remain the same. So let's have a look. We're going to work out income tax, which is PAYE, pay as you earn. We're going to work out PRSI, which is pay related social insurance. That goes to the government and it contributes towards social welfare payments and pension payments, things like that. USC is called universal social charge, and it's just generally just another form of income for the government. It's just another amount that they take out of your salary and they use it for various things. So let's have a look. This particular person here has a gross annual income of 72,000 euros. This is what they earn in 1 year. Now the standard rate cut-off point is 34,600 and the standard rate is 20%. So what this means is that a person can earn up to 34,600 euros and they will pay 20% tax on anything they earn up to 34,600. Now this person earns more than that, so they're going to pay 20% of 34,600, and then whatever is left over, whatever brings them up to 72,000, they're going to pay what's called a higher rate, which is 41%. So you've got to get 20% of this and then 41% of whatever is left over. This person also has tax credits. That means that they, when we work out their gross tax by doing 20% and 41%, that's called their gross tax. We can then deduct from the gross tax, we can deduct or subtract 3,000 euros, and that will give us the tax payable or the actual income tax that the person has to hand over to the government, if you like. The PRSI class, the pay-related social insurance class, is A1. Most people are on this particular class here. There are numerous classes, and this is the highest rate that you can pay in PRSI at the moment. Again, this can change, these terms can change from budget to budget, but currently most people are on class A1. Now, first thing we're going to do is work out PAYE, or the income tax that this person here has to pay. So let's do that. Okay, so we know that this person here is earning 72,000 euros. So this person here is earning 72,000 euros in 1 year. Now this 72,000 euros is going to be split up in two ways. We've got to find 20%. 20%, remember, is 20 over 100, which is just 0.2. We've got to get 20% of the standard rate cut-off point, which we found was 34,600 euros. And then whatever is left over, we've got to get 41% of it. So 41%, 41 over 100 is 0.41. So we're going to multiply that by whatever is left over. So if you subtract 34,600 from this amount here, the amount left over is 37400. 37400. So these two together make up the person's salary, gross salary. So if you add these two together, you should get 72,000. Okay, so let's work these two out. Now, if you get 20% of this, or 0.2 multiplied by this here, you get 6,920 euros. 6,920 euros. If you multiply these two here together, you get 15,334. 15,334. So the person has to pay 20% of this amount and 41% of this amount. So if we add these two together, so we're just going to add these two together here, we get 22254. 22254. Now this here is the person's gross tax. So this is the amount the person has to pay the government before anything else is taken from this. Now remember, you've got, this person here rather has got 3,000 euros in tax credits. So 3,000 euros in tax credits means that instead of the person paying this amount to the government, they only have to pay 22,254 minus the 3,000 euros, and that gives us 19254. So the person has to pay this amount here. So this is the amount of income tax the person actually has to pay. So this is the person's PAYE, pay as you earn if you like, or net income. It's net income tax, or we call it tax payable. So any of these terms, net income tax or tax payable, usually the two terms we use here. So this is one deduction that we have to take from the 72,000 per year. So that's our PAYE, or our income tax, sorted out. Let's look at the next thing we got to work out. We said we would work out PRSI next, okay? So the pay-related social insurance is next. Now, pay-related social insurance currently is worked out using this kind of a table here. Now, we have, the person has to be earning more than 500 euros in a week, and the A1, for the person to be in the A1 class, the first 127 euros that the person earns in a week, the employee here pays 0 on that amount, and whatever is left over in the week, they pay 4%. Now the employer, the person who's employing this person, has to pay 10.75% as well. But this, obviously, the employer's contribution doesn't come out of the employee's salary, so we won't look at that for the moment. But really it's just a case of getting 10.75% of the person's salary, and that's how much the employer will have to pay. But we'll just look at the employee for the moment. So we're going to look at 127 euros per week. So the person can earn 127 euros in a week, and that person doesn't have to pay any PRSI contribution on that amount. Now we're talking about, this is weekly here, we're talking about annual salary. So what I'm going to do is multiply this by 52 to give me 6604 euros. This is the amount that the person can earn in 1 year without paying any PRSI contribution. We don't have to work out the PRSI contribution on this amount here. So the balance, then, they have to pay 4%. Now this person is earning 72,000 euros, so we got to subtract 6604 from it, and that gives us 65396 euros. So this amount here is what we calculate the PRSI on, because they don't pay PRSI on this amount here. So what we've got to do, we see here that the employee has to pay 4%. So we've got to get 0.04, 4 divided by 100 in other words, of, which is multiply, 65396. So we've got to get 4% of this amount here, and that gives us 2615 euros. So this is the amount that the person has to pay in PRSI contributions in 1 year. So we've worked out two things so far. We've worked out tax payable and the PRSI contribution. Both of those have to be deducted from 72,000 in 1 year. Okay, so we've done two things. We've got one last thing to work out, and that's the universal social charge. So let's look at the universal social charge here. Now the universal social charge is worked out using this table here. And the way this operates is that you've got 3 different rates here, depending on how much the person is earning. So anything up to 10,036 euros, the person has to pay 2%. On the next 5,980 euros, they pay 4%. And then on the balance, they pay 7%. So just to work that out, the way that works is, let's do the first bit first. So we've got to get 2% of this amount here. So that's 0.02, or 2 over 100, multiplied by 10,036. That gives us 200 euros and 72 cents. So that's the first amount. So the amount, 10,036 that they've earned, we've got to pay 2% on that. Now we've also then got to get 4% of the next 5,980. So we got to get to 5,980 here. We got to get 4% of that, and that gives us 239.20. Now we've also then got to get 7%, which is 0.07, on the balance. So in other words, the way we work that out is add these two up here. We add these two up here and subtract from 72,000. So we take 72,000, which is the total amount in the year. We got to add these two up and subtract those two amounts there. Yeah. So 10,036 and 5980. We got to add these two and subtract from 72,000. And what we get when we do that is 3918.88 here. Okay. So no, sorry, excuse me, that's incorrect. What that is the actual answer here. Getting my numbers mixed up here, so let's just put that over here. 3918.88. That's actually the amount, 7% here. So we got to get 7% of what? When we add these two up again, subtract from 72,000, it's actually 55984. 55984. Sorry about that now. So in other words, when you add 10,036, 5,980 and 55,984, when you add these three, you should get 72,000. So they got to pay 2% of this amount, 4% of the next 5,980, and then the balance is 55,984. So you add these three here and you will get 72,000. Okay, so we've got 2% of this, 4% of this, 7% of that, and we got these three amounts here. So we have to add those three here and we get 4358.80. This is our universal social charge for the year. This is how much the person has to pay out of the 72,000 for 1 year. So that's our third deduction then that we're going to take out. Okay, so that's it. Let's just add those three up then. Now we have our tax payable. Let's see, we'll just write these down here. So we have our tax payable, which was 19,254. So we have 19,254. Oops, 19,254. Then we've got to add 2615.84. 2615.84. That was our PRSI. And now we have this amount here, which is 4358. 4358.80. When you add those three up, our total deductions then will be 26228. 26228.64. 0.64. This here will be total deductions. Total annual deductions. Okay. So these are our total annual deductions here. So to work out what this person's net income is for the year, we take 72,000. We've got to subtract this amount here, 26228.64, and that gives this person here a net income of 45771. 45771.36 euros. So this here is the amount that the person will actually get into their hand in 1 year. Now, if you were asked in a particular question to work out the how much the person gets in 1 week, you just simply divide by 52. So you would take 45771.36, divide that by 52, and that will give 880.22. This is how much the person earns per week. This is how much the person actually gets into their hand in a year. This is how much they get into their hand in a week. This is how much they get into their hand in a year. So depending on what you're asked in any particular question, you leave it like this or divide by 52. Now the three deductions that we did, the PRSI, the USC, and the PAYE, or the income tax, they are called statutory deductions. Everyone is required to pay those three deductions from their salary. There are non-statutory deductions. For example, if you decide you want to pay into a contribution or union fees or a social club or something like that, they're voluntary contributions. They're non-statutory. You're not required by law to pay those. But the three that we worked out currently are called statutory deductions. You have to pay those every year. Okay, so that's it on income tax for the moment.